Hello there, we're going to make curried ramin noodles next. We're going to use, I'm just going to use some vermicelli noodles, but you can use any kind of noodles you want to. Traditionally this is made with udon noodles, but I'm going to use these because I'm going to put them straight in because they're really small and thin, so they're going to cook really quickly. I'm going to get my wok on, going to get that really hot. Just to go through some ingredients, I'm going to use spring onions. I've got 4 spring onions chopped up. I've got a centimetre of ginger grated. I've got a whole chunky clove of garlic that I've chopped up, and I've got a lemongrass. If you haven't got lemongrass, you can use the dried version. Just chop it up really small. Take a little bit at the bottom, a little bit at the top off, and you just really finely chop it, and it's just absolutely beautiful and fragrant. We're going to use star anise in there as well. We're also going to use some mushrooms. So I'm going to do a vegetarian version, but you can obviously put meat and prawns and whatever else you fancy in there. Lime leaves as well to give it extra flavour. I buy a packet from the Asian supermarket and I keep them in my freezer and just get them out when I want to. Going to use some spinach, going to use some mushrooms, and I'm just introducing you to these straw mushrooms. They look like eyeballs. They really, really do. They're really strange. And then you cut them open and they're the middly bits. They're like an indoor-out mushroom, aren't they? They're a bit weird. But we're just going to use some of those in there as well. So cracking on, wok hot. The other thing I'm going to use is coconut milk as well, and I've got some chicken stock. So I made chicken stock on the first series when I did the Christmas cookery course, so if you want to make chicken stock then you can follow that. So wok hot, oil in the wok. Now the only difference with this is I'm using a vegetable oil or a sunflower oil, I'm using rapeseed oil, but I'm also using a little bit of sesame oil in as well, just to give it a little extra flavour. Never use too much of that because it's really, really strong. Onions first, get those hot. In with the garlic, and then I'm going to put a teaspoon of madras curry powder, a nice generous teaspoon in there as well. These are good, they're magnetic, stick to my wall. Let that cook out, always really important to cook your spices out. The next thing I'm going to do is quickly whack in my ginger and the lemongrass, a whole lemongrass in there. I mean, with that lime leaf and that lemongrass, just going to give it such a lovely aromatic flavour, and that curry powder as well, beautiful. Now I'm going to chop in my mushrooms because I want to get them cooked. These will just wilt down and my straw mushrooms are already cooked. So just give these another minute. In with that lovely flavour as well. Might want just a tad more oil in there, just to help the mushrooms along. Mushrooms are like a sponge. They just soak everything up. So just help it along a little bit. But at this point, if you were using raw chicken, then you can put that in there. I've got some chicken pieces that I've got from my chicken stock, so I'm going to put that in there. So I'm just going to use cooked chicken in mine. I said I was going to use a vegetarian version, didn't I? But that doesn't matter. I'm going to use chicken stock and chicken. But I'm making a vegetarian version, but then I'm adding the chickeny bits. So obviously omit those. Or use everything, whatever you fancy. So mushrooms are cooked. I'm going to put my spinach in there to wilt down. I'm going to put my star anise in there, one of those. And I'm going to put my lime leaf in there. I'm just going to use some of these mushrooms. Put those in there. I thought I'd cut my hand then. No, I'm fine. Just let that wilt down. So that's the base of it really. I'm going to use the coriander to finish it off as a garnish. So all I'm going to put in now is half a tin of coconut milk. When you get coconut milk, a tin of coconut milk, make sure you get one with a really high percentage of coconut fat in it. Don't get that light one because it's just 40% coconut milk and the rest is water. So you might as well just use less of it. Usually when you go down the Asian aisle, you get better coconut milks. So I'm just going to use half of that. So I tend to go for something sort of at least sort of 60%. Actually, the one that I bought now is a supermarket brand. I won't tell you which supermarket, but it's really rubbish and it says it's 75% and I know it isn't. And then we're going to put a pint of chicken stock. So I've just made this morning. When I make my chicken stock, I make it kind of more Asian flavoured. So I put some lemongrass and some ginger and whatever I've got hanging around my fridge in there just to give it some extra flavour. And I use all the roots of the spring onions and I use some roots of the coriander in there as well. So that's it. So basically we've got a lovely, lovely Asian stock, nice stock. And all I'm going to do is going to put the noodles in now. So I'm just using some little vermicelli noodles. I'm just going to place those in there and they're going to suck up all that lovely flavour and hopefully they'll cook down as well. So it's going to probably take about 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'll turn them over and do the other side as well. And then I've got some chicken that I can put in it, and I've got my coriander as well, just to finish it off with. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. So if you can sit around and wait for a bit, these will all be done. Okay, so I've just left it literally 2 or 3 minutes, depending on what noodles you use, depending on how much it's going to take to cook them. So these are just little vermicelli noodles, so they cook really, really quickly. So they've soaked up all that lovely stock in there, and it's lovely and brothy as well. So obviously you've got the lime leaf in there, which is not going to break up. So you take that out, you don't eat that bit, and then you just have this. Oh, lovely. So I'm going to put my chicken in there. So it's just leftover bits of chicken that I had from my stock. And I've got some coriander to throw on there as well. So you can garnish it with a little bit of coriander and put some in there as well. Give me a second, I'll plate you some up. So if I was to have meat in this, then I might have needed to give it a little bit longer, but I know that it's going to be lovely and cooked. You've got all those lovely noodles, whee, and you've got all that lovely stock in there as well. Look at that, yummy, yummy, yummy. And obviously the star anise in there as well. We don't want to be eating that. So a little bit of coriander on top as well, and that's it. Gonna have trouble eating it though, obviously. Chopsticks and a spoon would be really, really good. There you go, curried ramen noodles. Beautiful and really brothy as well, and that's how it's meant to be. If you're kind of English and you want it a little bit thicker like a curry, then you could just put a little bit of corn flour in there and just thicken it up as well if you wanted to, but that's kind of how it should be. Enjoy! You're so tasty.